I hold in my hand a phone, a cell phone, a smartphone. The more clients that I work with, the more I feel that this phone shouldn't be called a smartphone, but it should be called the most detrimental device to getting things done. Okay, that's not always true, nor is that 100% fair. I'm Darren Stehle, and this is an IDEAtion thought leadership podcast. What I want to talk about is distractions. And like any tool or anything, we need to be mindful of what it is we actually want to accomplish in our day, in our week, in our lives, and how we want to get things done that best serve us for our well-being and to be able to thrive. Now, the technology of a cell phone is freaking amazing, right? Think about it. They actually haven't been around that long. The fact that you can have like a megapixel camera and video camera, that you can make near studio quality videos with your phone, that you can connect all of your applications so that you can make notes, you could write a blog post, you could edit a website, you could edit video, you could record a podcast. My gosh, it's incredible what you can do with a phone. And it's really great when you've got that idea or inspiration, you're out somewhere, you can pull out your phone, you can note down your ideas, you can check your tasks of things you need to do. If you're going to the grocery store, you can have your list, you can have your app that gives you points if you get that from a specific grocery store. If you're driving your car and you don't have GPS in the car, well, you can just put on the map and look where you're going, or you can use the GPS functionality to get to where you're going. Amazing, right? But by having this much technology, this much power, this much capacity that we can hold in the palm of our hand, it can be very easy to get addicted to what that offers us. And we can find ourselves suddenly becoming so dependent on the things that the phone does for us that we also use that for escape. So the phone, on the one hand, can be an incredible productivity tool. But what happens if your productivity tool also contains apps of distraction? You know, I'm just having fun here, but so let's say you've got Facebook, Twitter, Tinder, Grindr, some other dating app, Instagram, TikTok on your phone. Well, what do you do when you're not being productive? Like maybe responding to a work email, and then there's that big question. Do you really need to be responding to a work email on your phone? Is it that important? Do you really need to be responding to a ping on your phone from Facebook that somebody said they liked your post? They didn't even leave you a comment. Oh, you've got a notification. Somebody swiped on your profile and they think you're hot. And they didn't even send a message. They just think you're hot. All of these things have a use. But if we want to be present and in the moment, which means that we can know who we are and have the self-awareness of what's most important to us, we have to know when distractions are controlling us versus when we're allowing ourselves to be playful, to just go into distraction for a period of time, or whether we're just coming down and relaxing. So I've worked with a number of clients in the last while that have really struggled with the distraction potential that their phones offer them. I'm not saying that what I'm going to offer here as an invitation is right. It's just what I've found works really well for me, and I've offered it as an invitation to a number of my clients. Number one, what you don't need on your phone, take it off your phone. I don't have Twitter or Facebook on my phone because I know I will just browse them when I feel bored or that I need to somehow fill in the gap of nothing to do. But it doesn't serve me. In fact, they tend to bother me. I leave those for myself, for my desktop, for when I'm in my browser and I'm going to access those platforms for whatever it is I need to do. I have Instagram on my phone, and I do enjoy the mindless scrolling and looking at wonderful dogs and hot guys that show up, and other artistic and creative LGBTQ individuals, because that's sort of the three primary things that are on my Instagram, to be entirely honest. But I don't have notifications turned on. I have notifications turned off for every single app but for two: my phone and my messages. And often throughout the day, I turn off the sound and I do not have the vibration mode active on my phone, because if I'm in a call with a client or I'm in a meeting of any kind, I don't want to feel, sense, or hear a vibration or a ping of any kind. It takes me out of the moment when I'm doing my best work. It takes me out of the moment if I'm just writing, or right now, if I had my phone, if I had the volume of my phone on and I went ding, how distracting. I would feel the need to stop, go back, record, and then I'd have to edit that part out, or I'd be thrown off course for feeling like, well, now I got distracted and pulled out of the moment. And it's not a good thing. The more we're distracted, the less energy we have cognitively to make decisions. And willpower is a limited resource. We wake up in the morning, we'll have the most energy around willpower, which is required to, well, it isn't that it's required to. We may depend on willpower to move ourselves forward, to maybe will ourselves to go do something, but it's not a preferred state of empowered, engaging, exciting, and joyful work. And it has diminishing returns. The smaller the number of decisions, and the more of those small decisions you have to make, like, should I open my app? Should I respond to this message? Should I respond to this email? What have I got to do today? The more decisions you have to make, the more you drain that energy for higher level decision making. So here's my suggestion. Here's my invitation. Can you turn off every single notification on every single app? You may have to go, at least in an Apple, I know I go into the settings and I go into each app and I have to use the radio button to turn every single one off. And then I also affect the global display settings for notifications between sound and whether or not it pops up in the lock screen and whether or not it is a constant reminder. So I should go back and say, my calendar app is something that I have as a notification because I don't want to miss important meetings. I don't want to show up late. I always want to be punctual. And then what if you look at the apps that are most important to you, that you really need to have a notification? Maybe it's text messages, maybe it's your phone, and maybe it's your calendar, like I said. From a productivity standpoint, doing work, probably those are the only three things you need, unless you're in or working for an organization that is using an app like Slack or something like that, and you are required by nature of your employment contract to respond within a certain period of time. But this idea that we have to respond immediately to things is not necessary most of the time. If you're a person who's in a job that you are on call and expected during work hours to respond within a certain period of time, that's a unique situation. But why do we have to respond immediately to something on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram? Why do we have to respond immediately to something in Messenger or text messages? Why do we have to have our phone turned on when we're asleep in bed? This boggles my mind. I'm sleeping. The most important aspect of my physical and emotional health is the 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep I get every night without interruption. I have some health issues related to sleep. If I were being disturbed by text messages or somebody who wants my help at 4 a.m. Now, there may be a specific situation that's important to you, or maybe you have kids. then you have to address those situations to manage, again, what's most important to you and what you need to prioritize in your life. But here's my final invitation. I'm holding up a timer in my hand. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. If you want to play on your phone without getting lost down the rabbit hole, what if you used a timer and set it to 15 or 20 minutes? I'm just going to scroll Facebook and Instagram. I don't care. I can just let myself completely go and have fun and get lost in the distraction and the dopamine hits of all the people that have liked my posts or all the great messages I've got on Tinder or Grindr or whatever the case may be. Did it, did it, did it, did it, and you're done. And then you put it away and you get back to doing whatever is most important. Distractions, when managed, can sometimes be an important aspect of recovery. Rest, when well managed, is a vital aspect of your recovery. Knowing when to come down, knowing when to give your brain a break is important, but knowing that is having the control, or rather the management of how you approach what you're going to do with the tools and the apps and the technology that you have at your disposal, such that they serve you instead of you serving them. So the final thought is an invitation. What's the biggest insight you've taken from this off-the-cuff kind of a complaint, but a number of suggestions about how you can best manage distractions? What can you put into play? What strategy can you use? Just pick one of the number I've mentioned that would give you the greatest benefit and more control over your ability to have more energy, thought processing, cognitive energy to do what's most important to you. Pick that one and implement it right away. Try it for the next 7 days. Keep a journal or a handwritten log, or just use the Notes app in your phone. That almost seems like a paradox, doesn't it? Track it, see if it makes a difference, and then assess it. Decide how it made a difference and whether or not you'd like to continue with it, and whether or not you'd like to modify and or expand it into other areas of your life so that you can have greater peace of mind and personal freedom around what you would like to accomplish. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Darren Stehle with the IDEAtion Thought Leadership Podcast.